Hi folks, Simon here. Now in our previous two videos we looked at how to install Ubuntu on Windows 11 and then we looked at how to install Redis Server onto that Ubuntu instance so we could use it as a local Redis server for our development purposes. So in this video we're going to take a look at a very quick Blazor application I've just put together that goes through and shows how to read and write the values from our Redis server. So if we run the app, we can just say, we can go in and we can get our cache item. We have nothing in the cache. We can go to our set cache page. We can set the value of our cache, go back to our cache, get cache page, and we can see that it sets our value, and we can go to remove. Okay, now this isn't actually using Redis just yet. So if we close and have a look at the code, what we've got is we have a cache service. So what the cache service is it brings in an I-distributed cache, which is what we will use for Redis down the track. But at the moment, the default ASP NET Core web application will inject the in-memory cache as the default. So we do have a cache, but this is obviously not recommended because it's in memory in the process that the application is running in and should be used for development purposes only. It doesn't give us any visibility as to what those cache values are and to see how things are working. It's a fairly simple service, this cache service. It just injects in the I-distributed cache object, and then we have a get cache value async function, which returns the value from the cache based on the key value that is supplied. Remove cache value function, which obviously removes that key from the cache. And then we have a set cache value, which takes in a key, a value, and an expiry time frame. Now, we're actually using the sliding expiration. So if you wanted to pass in, say, a 5-minute time span or 1 hour or whatever's necessary for your requirements. So then in the get cache page, we're just injecting in our cache service, and on the initialization, we're just getting that cache value from our cache. And as we saw in our example, when we first go in, there's nothing in there. We then go to our set cache page. We're just injecting in our cache service, and then we're setting our cache value. It has a key of our key and a value of our value, and it has a time span of 1 hour. And then the remove cache is just removing the cache based on the key. Now, in the program, you can see all we've done is we've added in our cache service into our dependency injection. So now we need to look at adding the Redis cache. So if we bring up our Ubuntu instance, and we're logged in, and we can check to see if the Redis service is running. And we can do that using the command sudo service Redis server status. It'll ask us for our password, and it says the service is running. So if it were stopped, and we check the status and it wasn't running, we could just call service Redis-server start. Okay, and we can go into our Redis Insight that we looked at in the previous video. I'll link to those two videos in the description below as well, so you can go and have a bit of a look at that. So if we go in and look at our Redis instance, you can see here we have a key in here from before that I was testing with, so we can just remove that. Okay, so now we've got nothing in our Redis cache. So we can close this down. We want to look at injecting in the Redis cache configuration. To do this, we've got to add a Nuget package to start with. So if we right click on our dependencies, go to manage Nuget packages, and the Nuget package we want starts with microsoft.extensions.caching.stack, and it's actually .stack exchange Redis. So, but if you just type in the .stack, it'll find it. So we can select this Nuget package, click on install, click on OK, click on accept, and it'll install the package. Now, the next thing we need is the connection string. So if we go over to our app settings file, what I've done is I've just put a stub in here for our connection strings and our Redis connection string. and this is a convention I like to follow, is for anything that's a connection string or something that might contain private secret information, I'll just note in that it should be in user secrets. So if we go and right click on our solution, go to manage user secrets, we've got our user secret file. So we've got our connection strings, Redis connection, and the connection string, as you would have seen in Redis Insight, is localhost or 127.0.0.1:6379. So we've got our localhost, which is the same as 127.0.0.1:6379. Now, to be able to actually use the Redis cache, we have to configure it in our Program.cs. We have to add it as a service. So we can come in here and we can put builder.services.add Stack Exchange Redis cache. And we want to supply some options. Okay, and our the only option we really need to supply to get this working initially is our configuration, which is actually just the connection string. So we can go builder.configuration.get connection string, and we called it Redis con string from memory. Yep, Redis con string. Okay, so what that's effectively done is that is now injecting in the necessary bits for in-memory cache. So if we run this now, remembering that in our Redis Insight, we've got, if we click refresh, we've got no cached objects. So we can come back to our get cache, again, no value, go to our set cache, we can click on the set cache, says our value's been set. If we come in here, refresh, you can now see we've got our key, which has the key of our key and the data of our value, and our sliding expiry of 36 microseconds, I would guess that would be, which is effectively 60 minutes. So the benefit that we have doing it this way and using this Redis server locally is that we can see all these cache values in here. So if you're caching various parts of your site, you might have some data that's coming back from the database that's being cached. You can actually come in and see exactly what's being cached. You can check to see that the expiries are working correctly. You can actually delete objects out and make sure that it's treating missing cache data correctly. It just gives you a more accurate development process so you can monitor exactly what's happening in your cache as you go along. So now if we come back, go to our remove cache page, remove our cache item, and come back in and refresh, you can see that cache object is now gone. So if you haven't watched the first two videos on installing our Ubuntu instance and installing Redis cache, then don't forget to check the links in the video description, and I'll also put them in the cards above throughout the video. And thank you. Don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.